when Mr. Alexander went through the building. It was yourself.
Lieutenant Nolan was in
I think Lieutenant Nolan, I don't know, is Eddie here tonight? And possibly Eddie Nolan was there. But at any rate, what happened was we had asked Jim Alexander to come out and take a look at the bachelor school because, as everybody knows, the bachelor school, along with the police station, as Mr. O'Leary has indicated, got defeated at the November 11th ballot. We felt, as some of us on the board, that we should continue to look into the matter because we knew there had to be a solution to both problems. One was the bachelor school, one was the police station. So Mr. Hannon and Ellen Blue got very involved in this, and they had been involved with it for quite a few months prior to the November election. They had asked Jim Alexander, who was a historical preservation architect, to come to the town of North Reading and look at both issues. He did, in fact, go to the bachelor school first. They took a tour through there with Dr. Troughton. I believe some members of the, in fact, maybe you were there, Trish. And they walked through the bachelor school. Jim Alexander, who was the architect, I say, of record, that we had called to take a look at this thing, came out, and he said there should be absolutely no problem with renovating the bachelor school, and in fact, he said he could draw up a beautiful plan for the project with the addition and a few other things. It was mentioned what had to be done. We brought the school into it, so I just wanted to say how we got here. So then, from the school department, he was asked if he would mind taking a tour of the local police station, which he did. And he met us over there. We walked through the police station. We explained the situation, how the plan had been defeated on the ballot, and that could it possibly be renovated. He looked at it. He talked with the chief. The chief summarized some of the issues that have come about. I believe Mr. Jones was at the desk that day. And some of the issues were brought up about the new plan that had been presented for the new police station. So he was willing to take the new police station guidelines and incorporate it into a possible plan of renovation to the police station. That all got going pretty good. But during that conversation, myself and Mr. Hannon said, we possibly can get a grant from historical preservation up to $5,000. There's a good possibility we can have that money so that there won't have to be any money expended from the community. And if in fact that didn't take place, we felt we could get donations from groups of people in the community to keep the plan going along if in fact that had to be done because we couldn't get the grants. In the meantime, this thing got in the town administrator's hands. The next thing I got a call saying that I had no authority to expend town monies for a proposal for a renovation to the police station. Everywhere I go, I seem to get accused of these things, and that never took place. What took place is this letter that was sent back to the Police Building Committee asking them if they're in agreement with this amount of expenditure so far, just simply sign it and send it back. From there, it got blown all out of proportion, and it ended up at our meeting 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, I guess. So we decided, let's call a meeting. Let's find out if, in fact, and in the meantime, we found out there was possibly $5,080 in a fund that had been set aside back in 1994 for a similar situation. That money possibly could, and possibly is still there, and could, in fact, be expended for this project. That's why we're here tonight. And that's why all the confusion was over this letter. It was simply nobody's fault that anything happened. All the architect did is send a notification to the committee asking them if they agreed with what's taken place so far. They'd like to be going forward. In the meantime, the town administrator sent a letter back to Jim Alexander and ordered him to stop working on the police station building committee project. We all kind of got a little upset at that because we wanted the project to keep going forward. It was well on its way, and there was no serious reasons to interrupt the project. So now we're back here tonight, and from my way of looking at it, I think what we're here for is to see if in fact there's $5,080 available. If there isn't, it's my understanding that not only the group of individuals that are interested in the project going forward are willing to kick in the $5,000 to allow it to be able to come to the town meeting February 12th and be discussed as to whether or not the plan can be presented or whether or not the town is willing to accept the provisions of the articles that are being presented at the February 12th meeting. That's my understanding of how it came about. I don't know what yours is. Do you agree with that? Pretty much?
Pretty much. No, all I know is that I saw the correspondence here that said that they were approached by representatives of the town. Or maybe that was untrue. So maybe Mr. Alexander was under the misimpression that they were approached by representatives of the town that were in a position of authority to enter into some sort of a contract or agreement with them. And then it says that they've already expended $3,000, and we would be looking for an additional $3,000 to complete the work for town meeting. So I think at first blush. And as far as it not being sent to the town of North Reading, this is sent to the police station building committee, which is a standing committee of the community right now until this project is done. So it is the town of North Reading. And right now they don't have a budget. And they have not come, and again, the police station building committee to date, in the recent past, has not come to this board or the finance committee or anybody else looking for any funds to expend.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, Mr. Chairman. What I'm trying to indicate is not a bill. It's simply a letter of notification to continue on with the project, and that's all I wanted to
I'm not looking to, and again, I'm not looking to get into an argument over the thing, other than let's just get it resolved. Mr. Vino.
Yes, if I could, Mr. Chairman. I would like to point out to Mr. Smith, though, what this says. The total obligation of the town under the letter of agreement would be $6,000. If you are in agreement, please sign the enclosed copy of this letter and return it to our files. Mr. Smith is correct. It's not a bill. It's a contract. And Lieutenant Nolan is not authorized to sign a contract, and that's why he did the right thing and sent it up to the town administrator, and he was chastised for that by Mr. Smith a week ago, asking why did he do that? Because he did what he should have done. He did the proper thing. I also want to say that I am for any police station anywhere we can build it, so I don't want any of my comments taken negatively. But I will not sit here and let a law be broken. There are channels that we have to go through. I disagree with Mr. Smith. That's right, it is not a bill. It is a contract. The total obligation of the town under this letter of agreement. Now, I'm not an attorney, but if we have one out there sitting here, please tell me if I'm right or wrong. This would be a contract to spend, and we would owe them $6,000. In my opinion.
Chairman, will you read the draft?
We haven't gotten that yet, Mr. Reitmeyer. The price goes down in the draft.
If I can just respond to that for 1 second. Joe, I agree with you. I didn't chastise Eddie. I think he said, Eddie, did I chastise you for something?
No.
What was the answer? No or yes? Or?
No.
No. I didn't
If
say
I
what
may,
you-
Mr. Smith, at the meeting Saturday, you said you don't know why Lieutenant Nolan brought it to the town administrator.
No, I
You
don't
most
think
certainly
I
did,
chastised
Mr. Smith.
anybody, Joe. But what I'm trying to point out is, what should have been done, after Eddie took the letter to the town, we should have simply said, there's no authorization to pay this bill, just simply send it back to the architect, and that would be the end of it. It didn't have to go through all this scrutinizing and finger pointing that I authorized some kind of a bill to be paid, because as you've already said, it's not even a bill.
It's a contract.
It's a contract, and if it's not signed, it's not a contract.
Right.
It's a proposal for a contract to be signed. What I'm saying, Joe, is if we had just come to a meeting, brought the thing to our attention, we could have been doing what we're doing tonight, just simply looking to see if we get the $5,000. If we didn't have it, you're going to have to send it back to the architect, and that's the end of it. But to point fingers at me and it would come out in the newspaper that I authorized this thing to be paid.
I
That
didn't say
that never
that.
took place.
I didn't say that.
And I didn't see your name in the paper.
I didn't say that.
Well, I guess it didn't take too many people.
I didn't see your name. I didn't see anybody.
But anyway.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bagan first.
Yeah, you know, we're here, and I believe that we said on Saturday, we want to know what was done, we know that. We want to know what we need to do to move forward, and we want to do that. Let's do it.
Right.
I mean, you know, everything should be behind us. Let's find out from the town administrator where we need to go to get this paid to move forward. If we can't, we can't.
Mr. Ralph.
I agree with Mr. Bagan, and my understanding is that discussion of the use of Feingold and Alexander architects on a police station project, I would like to hear from the committee and see what they think, and then I would like to go forward. The one question I do have is there, in fact, money available for this?
Do you want your answer first, or do you want the chairman of the,
Well, I'd like
the
to
police
know,
station building committee?
I believe they're here for money. Okay, so before they ask for it, I'd like to know
Well, but
if we have it to give it to
First
them.
of all, they requested to be on the agenda for Monday, which is fine, they're on the agenda for Monday anyway. But, this meeting, if you recall, came out of our Saturday session mid-afternoon, when Mr. Smith brought it up and said, you know, what about this, what about this? And we said, well, you know, we weren't going to discuss that here. We'll special meeting Thursday night, it's the only thing on, let's talk about it. You know? And to me, it's more, I mean, there may be some money needed. Again, we haven't had a formal request yet from the Police Station Building Committee. Maybe we'll get that tonight. But I think what we have to talk about is process, procedures, and understanding proper channels and how things have to be handled, you know, going forward. Not just with this, but with any other project. I mean, this is a good lesson in how things can run awry a little bit when we have public interest groups out there starting to get involved in the town affairs, when contractual obligations have to be made and certain rules and regulations, which the town is governed by, have to be met. And this is, I think this is a case in point. That's also.
But no contracts have been signed.
I'd still...
No, I understand it.
I'd still like to get an answer to my question now, is in fact, I mean, George Dow is here, and Brad Jones, Town Administrator, is there money available?
Tom, why don't you explain to us in relation to, I think the chairman of the Finance Committee and the Finance Director over the last few weeks have been culling over the books of the town and trying to determine what funds unused funds have been available and should be converted back to returned back to the general fund as free cash. And explain why don't you explain what transpired?
Currently, we're working on a listing of a draft list of capital items, some small capital items from going back as far as 1993, maybe 94, that the project has either been completed or came to, for some reason, a halt. So we're looking at those to convert possibly back to free cash. The $5,080 or so that is being mentioned in here is part of a 1994 capital item. And we do not do the same procedure now that we did in 94. We'll explain it. What you did in 1994 is when you made a motion for the capital budget, you made one large motion. X dollars from free cash, X dollars from bonding, X dollars from water revenue, and so forth. What we do now is that you do each item, you know, fire truck A, dump truck B, every item has to be voted on and approved as a motion. What that means in those cases we do currently is that we can identify how much is left in that account and whether we can close it out. Let's say there was $38,000 in for a dump truck and they've expended $36,000. Then you know the truck was paid for, there's $2,000 left, you can close out the account. What happened in 1994 is you had one omnibus article for capital, which covered a multitude of articles. For this one, you had the public safety building study, you had carpeting for the fire station, lighting for the fire station, the communications building at Tower Hill, and there was one more item we got in the fire station also. So you had the one big figure. The study for the police department was completed by Durling and Van Boris, approximately for $9,900, and it was completed in basically late 1994. That account could not be closed out because you had other items that were going on underneath there. The lighting, the communications building, so you couldn't have closed out their account. There was money left in it under that particular item. It wasn't an account, but...
So there was money left in it in order to complete the other projects under that
Right.
appropriation.
That's correct.
So the appropriations weren't specific to the projects, they were specific to several projects.
If
Whereas
this-
now we do it differently.
Right. If this was
We
under...
have truth in budgeting now.
If this was under year 2000, that account would have been closed out and the funds returned to free cash. So we couldn't close out that account. There is approximately about $5,060.92 left in that omnibus account. You could technically use it for police studies because it doesn't indicate line item by line item where that money was to go. Technically, you could also say the same, reverse, you could use it for fire station carpeting, lighting or electrical work that was at the fire station. We don't do that any longer. So under that particular item, yes, there's $5,000.
You gentlemen agree?
I don't disagree.
Mr. Jones?
So if you don't disagree, you agree?
Absolutely.
I guess